terror struck a luxury Mali hotel on November 20th when at least 10 Islamist gunmen stormed inside on a mission to kill. Witnesses say the attackers shouted, "God is great" in Arabic as they sprayed bullets on tables of people who were gathered for breakfast, and at least 19 were killed. By the time Malian and UN security forces rushed in and ended the siege hours later, bodies were scattered across the floors of the Radisson Blu Hotel in Bamako. Just 1 week later, UN base in northern Mali was the target of another attack. 2 United Nations peacekeepers and a civilian contractor were killed as a result of rocket fire in what the UN Security Council warns could be a war crime. Mali has struggled with instability and Islamist extremists for years. However, this could be the dawn of a new round of violence. Our focus this week is on Mali. Hello and welcome to our weekly focus. I'm Tal Heinrich. Mali has been going through weeks of terror, and so far the local authorities had arrested 2 suspects in the hotel attack. Malian president called on the world to unite against terrorism, and Germany recently announced it is ready to send up to 650 soldiers to the West African country and help France in the region. Our first guest for today is Celia Delmida, deputy editor of the Journal of Mali. Celia, please tell us, describe to us the state in your country, the atmosphere in the 10-day state of emergency following the hotel attack. Is fear controlling or is it back to routine?
I would say it's pretty mixed because on one hand, we feel that people now understand better what is going on than during the last terror attacks. In Bamako last March and in Savare. But life goes on. We Malians have the ability of not showing to the outside world our feelings, so life goes on. Except that we pay attention to the fact that public spaces are more or less empty, and this is something that we could feel in the mosque, which is kind of a paradox. But also in the markets and the restaurants, they're almost all empty. This is the way we feel, that there is a hysteria. But in daily life, life goes on in Bamako. This is a topic that people are talking about a lot, but we are not afraid here, if I may say so.
And this is not the first time in which we see foreigners as the target of terror attacks in your country. What is the ideology behind that? What are they trying to achieve by doing that?
In terms of the ideology, I'm not an expert on security issues, so I can only give you my opinion as a journalist who is following the issues at work every day. I think that the main goal is to weaken the Malian state. The state succeeded more or less to reach an agreement with the armed group in North Mali. We know what happened from 2011 until recently, and it continues unfortunately. So the Malian state tried to reassure its partners to get them back, for the investors to return, for the stability in Mali, which was talked about a lot in the past, could return. Unfortunately, attacks like the one in the Radisson or in Savare or even in Kidal, all those events are trying to show that the Malian state is not strong, that Mali can't manage the security issues, which we all agree are the basis of everything, economy, social issues, etc. I deeply feel that behind jihadi terrorism, which could be a religious ideological struggle, it has become a political question, because in the north of Mali, the groups become allied with the independent rebellion. They now take advantage of no man's land, the absence of states, and use it for trafficking. So those groups have absolutely no interest in seeing the Malian state restabilize. So what is more terrifying than attacking a hotel? Where we know that people come because they want to invest, because they believe in Mali, because they choose to trust in Mali.
And is there any difference between extreme Islamist terrorism in Mali and the terror that we saw in Paris, for example, across Europe, in other places, or even in Israel?
I think it's a global problem. Terrorism is a global problem. What Malian people say often is that yes, Mali was in the red zone for years. But today the whole world is a red zone. I think that the people that attacked the Radisson Blu did it because there were Western people in the hotel. Not only French, for example, like the target of the Paris attacks, where the attack was targeted at the French because their army is involved in striking Syria. So I don't think we are talking about French or US or Russian targets, who, by the way, lost 6 people in this attack, or China, who lost 3. but it is an attack on a lifestyle, a will to progress, which was the target. And I think that this concept is universal, the fact that those people want to refuse us a right to live. It is true in Paris, in Syria, in Beirut, and also in Kidal, where rockets keep on falling every day and African soldiers are killed who are part of MINUSMA. We have lost 5 citizens in these attacks. It is not one world against another. It is more one perspective on life against another.
So yeah, thank you so much for all your insights.
Thank you. Goodbye.
The persistent insecurity is particularly being felt in the north of Mali. Abuses, abductions, killings, rape. The authorities were slow to take action against those who committed human rights violations. And Amnesty International in Mali tries to keep pushing every day to promote these and bring torturers to justice as well. Sanum Torre is the director of Amnesty International in Mali and is now joining us from Bamako. Hi, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
So what are the main missions that Amnesty International is dealing with in Mali? In other words, what is your everyday job there?
Well, before I speak about our mission, I'll speak about our vision. Amnesty International is an organization that is fighting for equal rights for everybody in the world. And now our mission in Mali is to do all our best to make sure that everybody is really benefiting from these rights. So this means that every day we hear about human rights violations everywhere, and we stand up and we try to help people. People are being evicted from their houses every day. People are being raped. I mean, women have been raped during the crisis, and so on and so forth. People are disappearing every day, so this is the work that we are doing. We are trying to do our best to write very courteous letters to the government officials to ask them to do something so that the rights of people are respected.
Can you maybe describe to us one particular case in which Amnesty International had to directly intervene in Mali?
Well, it's interesting for me to speak about a case of a lady who came to see us some 2 months ago. She told us that her husband has disappeared. He had disappeared for 2.5 months, and she did not hear anything from him, and he didn't communicate with her. So everywhere she went, she checked in police stations, the military police stations, in the brigades. She even went to the hospitals to check whether the body has been found. But finally, she came to see us, and it took me only a few days to get him back home. I wrote a letter reminding the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Security that 3 years before they signed the International Convention Against Disappearances. So it's not possible for a Malian to disappear anymore. And then, some 3 days later, the man came back.
You know, human rights, they have several definitions, different definitions for human rights in different countries across the world and more specifically in Africa. So how can an international movement called Amnesty impose the same definition of human rights upon different societies with different traditions, different codes?
Well, in fact, you are right. Many people have very different definitions of human rights. In Mali, the problem we have is that many of the rights that we are defending, that are universal rights, are sometimes violated in our country by our cultures, by our ways of life. If you talk about human rights with some people, they may say that this is a European invention. This has nothing to do with them. And then when we tell them that the rights they have are the same as other people all over the world and that we only have to defend these rights, if, for instance, the government doesn't do anything for your health, for your education, or even for protecting you against torture and other things, that's not good. And that's what we are working for. And then they understand.
Thank you very much for this very interesting but sad information.
Yeah, I've got to thank you. Right.
And now let's see what else is going on in Mali.
The West African singer-songwriter Sekuba Bambino has emerged as a hero of the Malayan hotel siege, feeding the authorities vital information about the attackers from his besieged room. He identified the murderous jihadists as English speakers with a Nigerian accent during the hostage situation that killed at least 19 people in Mali's capital of Bamako. Germany says that Berlin will contribute up to 650 soldiers to the French-led operation against jihadists in Mali. Ireland also announced that they are not ruling out sending troops to Mali as well to replace French soldiers as a part of a peacekeeping mission. France currently has 1,000 soldiers stationed in Mali and 3,000 in the region. Mali held its annual Festi Bazin fashion event. Models decked out in Mali's signature Bazin fabric in crimson reds, indigos, and neon greens strutted the catwalk as musicians from across the West African nation provided the soundtrack. Bazin, a polished, heavy cotton fabric with a distinctive sheen, is extremely popular across the region and is worn at almost all formal occasions in Mali. After a forced 4-year hiatus due to political instability and war, the African Biennale of Photography Bamako Encounters, one of Africa's key cultural events, is back for its 10th edition. A record 800 applications from photographers representing 54 African countries and the diaspora have been submitted to the festival. Organizers hope that the event can regain its place at the pinnacle of the continent's vibrant cultural scene.
Timbuktu is one of the cities of Africa whose name is heavily charged with history. In its golden age, it was a center of Islamic scholarship and an important crossroad marketplace. In 2012, Islamist rebels took over the city, but with the help of French troops, the jihadists were prevented from capturing any significant World Heritage sites. Now let's say hello to Ali Ould Sidi, a historian from the Cultural Mission of Mali. Hi. Hello, thank you for being with us.
Bonjour.
So how did the city turn to be such a strategic place and was chosen as a World Heritage Site?
The origin of Timbuktu. There are a few origins. Some say that Timbuktu comes from the word Tamashek, because the city was founded by nomads who were moving from Anwar to Timbuktu during the rain season. The people would go north, and when the heat would begin, the river would shrink and the people would return to the south. This is one version of the story. So Timbuktu means the well of Buktu. While the people were away, the people who would leave their luggage under surveillance of a woman, an old lady named Buktu. So it became a center of trans-Saharan trade, but it also had another very important function, which was intellectual. Starting from the 14th and 15th century, Timbuktu started to develop with the Mosque of Sankor. The city itself had 100,000 inhabitants, and a quarter of the population were students, 25,000 students. When we talk about a university, it wasn't a modern university, but it was a university that was operated by the mosque.
And in 2012, the city was overrun by jihadists. How did their takeover affect the UNESCO structures there?
In 2012, following the invasion of Timbuktu, of the 16 mausoleums, 14 were destroyed. Now, the Minister of Culture, in partnership with UNESCO, had to create an action plan to rebuild the mausoleums. We just had to rebuild them identically to what they were before. But why? Because one of the requirements of the 1972 Convention of UNESCO was to rebuild identically if a building was classified as a World Heritage Site. We have to rebuild with the same architectural forms and the same materials. This is what we did. There were a few different opinions on how this should be done. Some say we need to rebuild on the ruins of the destroyed buildings, and some say we need to use sustainable materials. Others say we need to learn about them in depth in order to understand the structure, and this is what we did.
So how do people in the city view the future there now? Is reconstruction be viewed as an answer?
The future generations will benefit from all the documentation of the buildings. We also think that they are very lucky because it has been done in a participative way. The reconstruction work was done by the local Mason Guild. This is extremely important because everything that is related to maintenance is not a problem, because these masons know how to deal with the materials and the technicalities of building. So it is no problem.
One exceptional ethnic group in Mali is the Tuaregs, nomadic Berber origin people who traditionally have long resisted the central government. And yes, that Volkswagen model was named after them. In early 2012, their low-level rebellion gained power and was intensified by their alliance with Islamist fighters who has ties to Al-Qaeda. However, after the Islamist coup, the Tuaregs were pushed aside and some of them became refugees. Joining us now is Tore Baba Mahamne, a local tour guide who gives Tuareg tours, and he can guide us through this cultural diversity in Mali. Hi, sir. Thank you for joining us. So why are the Tuaregs feeling somewhat deprived?
Yes, this problem is start since long time. Why? Since in 1960, the population of North fight to get more investment in the north. I mean, more realization, if you want. The last conflict in Mali, for my personal idea, I think the Tuaregs are victims for a lot of reasons. Because if you see the end of all these problems, but in this problem of independence, there was a lot of other problems, Sharia and some others. They are a victim for me personally, my personal idea.
Baba, thank you so much for sharing your view with us.
Thank you too.
And thank you all for focusing with us on Mali. See you again next week. In the meanwhile, enjoy the beautiful sounds of Instruments for Africa, a non-profit organization formed to reinforce traditional music and the arts in West Africa. See you soon.
Hey,